It's my birthday month, so let's celebrate every day starting now. We have a party of a show today, so let's get it going. New Day Northwest starts right now.
It's a new day.
Now, from the Virginia Mason Franciscan Health Studio at King 5 in downtown Seattle, this is New Day Northwest.
Good morning and welcome to the show. I'm Kelly Hansen. Now that summer is in full swing outside, does your home's interior also say summer? This morning we're talking about some ways, both big and small, to give your home a little bit of a summer refresh. And here with ideas is one of our favorite Seattle interior designers, Michelle Dirkse. Welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I love talking interior design, and you have some very great digestible tips today, right?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm hoping that even if you don't own a home, you can do a couple small things to make it feel like you have something new, or if you're going for a full remodel, we have a couple ideas for that too.
Ooh, okay, well, tease, let's go. Your tip number one is clear it out or fill it in. So what do you mean by this?
I mean, when we start a project, the easiest way, if you don't have the budget to buy anything, design by elimination. Simply clearing out the clutter, looking at your space, and sometimes one of the easiest ways to do this is to actually take a photo of your space, because you're used to seeing it the way that you see it. And so if you take a photo of your space, then you'll be able to see it with fresh eyes and be able to see maybe I should group these items, maybe I should take this out. So yeah, often just eliminating some items will help the space feel fresh and summery. And then if you are going to, keep or add items, group items together. So, a coffee table book with the vase with, a little accessory on it together, not spread out all over the coffee table. And if you have a collection of items, keep the collection together so it's special and everyone notices it's a collection versus having one item at each location throughout your home.
That makes sense. I feel like you're even doing that right here. As soon as you said that, I was like, wait, okay. The books together, a little special piece, and then a vase.
Such an easy formula, vase, bowl. Here we have a little accessory piece, and then book.
Okay.
Stack. 1, 2, 3.
Done and done. And it can be a conversation piece too. If you don't have a huge clutter and it feels more intentional, then it's something that guests can chat about as well.
And it doesn't have to just be your coffee table. It can be, on the entry buffet, on your dresser, wherever it may be, or on a bookshelf. Keeping the items together will help them to feel special, and clearing out the clutter will help your space feel fresh and new.
I feel like you'll just be happier with a cleared out space. Yeah. Your next tip is add yellow. I'm here for this because I feel like everyone's talking about butter yellow as the color of the season right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's,
look at that.
Oh yeah, it's so easy here. All we did was, imagine this room without the yellow vase or without the yellow art. It's still beautiful, but here it just kind of takes it up a notch, and to me it says summer or spring.
Yeah, so a pop of color, and yellow, you picked that because do you find that that's more cheerful, bright for summer? Or?
Yeah, and I think it's cheerful and it's readily available, and it works with a lot of different interiors.
Okay, so neutrals, yellow, all of that kind of works together and flows.
Whether you already have an existing color palette, that just add a moment of that within it, or if you have a home that's all neutrals, it won't compete with that either.
Add sheers.
Yeah, so if you have drapery at your home, sometimes people will have the solid curtain.
Blackout curtains.
Yeah, drapery, and then behind it you'll have what we call a privacy sheer. So, just a sheer fabric. And for some of our clients, what they'll do is, if privacy isn't an issue and really the curtains are just for decoration, they might just take those off for the spring or summer, and so just leave the sheers behind it. So light and breezy.
It's light, airy, breezy.
Or if you don't have any curtains or drapery, but you want a moment of softness without the room feeling too heavy, this can just, it's like putting on your mascara. It pulls the room together and kind of finishes it off.
This, and that's such a good tip to have something like this behind the solid curtain, so it's easy to refresh for the different seasons instead of feeling like you have to take everything down.
Yeah, and at my house, we have the sheers, which we, have in front of the glass for privacy at night. And then, we open it during the day. But if we want full privacy, then we'll do the opaque solid curtains, we'll close those as well. But if you don't need both, if you want a little refresh, just again, kind of like design by elimination temporarily.
Yeah. This feels like so like feminine too, and I love little feminine touches throughout. Your fourth tip is add a smile, which I'm already loving. So what do you mean by that?
Your home doesn't have to be a museum. Like I want you to feel that you're able to express who you are in your home, and I want guests to feel welcome. And so I think, like I brought this little vase because it has a funny nose on it here in the photo. They have the pink dinosaur accessory on the piano because the clients like had a little game where for Christmas they'd go to a dollar store and they'd buy like the funniest thing they could for each other. And so, in that photo, just having that paired with something,
makes you have a little smile, a little laugh.
Yeah. So
the vase. So I didn't notice the face on that, but that's so
and then
cute in this one.
Yeah, I want to say vases that have a large opening at the top, for me, are easier to put flowers in. I know, unrelated to the smile, but just kind of a general side tip. If you get a vase that has a larger opening at the top, then the flowers will spill out, versus the vase with a narrow opening at the top. I feel like they become fussier, like it's harder to find the right flower for that.
Awesome.
But yes, add a smile.
Add a smile and whimsical touches too, right?
Yeah, like here we just have rosemary from my garden and lavender from my garden, and it's not fussy and it's not necessarily what everyone puts in a vase, but it can just be easy and fun.
I can tell you right now that the set smells incredible because of what you have going on today.
And no water even.
Oh,
yeah, easy.
No mess.
Yeah,
moving it around. Done and done. Tip number 5, add or update art.
Yeah, so I think that if you have a gallery wall, that you can swap out the pieces within it or move them around. I love a 40 by 60 is like my favorite art piece, whether it's vertical or horizontal, because it can go in so many different places. It can go, like when you're picking art, think about where it's going and what it is connecting to. So is it going above a headboard? Then make sure it connects to the headboard, or above a sofa, or a dresser, or a console. And so that's why 40 by 60 inches is often so easy to place, because it will fit in all of those locations.
I feel like I need to write this down right away.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that. Okay,
and it doesn't have to be that size.
No, but
That's
I
just like
I
if you
your
don't
tip.
know, it's a good starting point. And if you have a lot of smaller pieces, again, kind of group them together. Kind of back to like tip number 1 of make everything special by grouping it together, and that will kind of help fill a space. So,
I get overwhelmed too when I'm looking at a couch. Like, should I go vertical? Should I go horizontal? Do you have any tips when you're looking at a wall or space like that?
It like depends on the size. So I think 40 by 60 is so easy behind
Back
a
to
sofa.
40 by 60.
Horizontal. But if you have a vertical piece that's 40 by 60, I'd probably do that on one end of the sofa and then fill in with some other small pieces, to the side of it.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. And mix it up with textures, styles, and color. You're even talking about wallpaper, so walk me through this.
Yes, so
wow, look at that. Beautiful.
Here in this photo, they have, more of a traditional home, and then we paired some, modern elements with it, but again, some traditional elements too. So just because your home is modern or traditional doesn't mean that your furniture and decor have to be. It also doesn't mean that your remodel has to be. So, if you have a traditional home, maybe your remodel is traditional. Maybe it's a modern and traditional elements within the remodel, or maybe just modern. And then again, the same for the furniture and decor. So you can really mix it up. And if you're looking for a change that, this wouldn't just be for summer, it'd be more permanent. But I have this wallpaper from our collection.
Beautiful.
And then, we worked with local artists to design it.
It's stunning. I love a wallpaper moment. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too.
Oh, seeing the pink,
I
this
know,
is speaking to me.
Yeah, so this was by Maya Kerner, and she made this watercolor painting for us that we turned into a wallpaper. And then, grass cloth is a super easy one. It's just like a texture, it feels solid on the walls.
Yeah, that's very cool.
There we have this pattern by another local designer, Brian Paquette. And then we have this one from Portland studio, Lonesome Pictopia. And I love working with local places.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here. We so appreciate it. And next up, we have lots more fun headed your way. Still ahead, the cast of Can Can joins us in studio. They're here to show off their new extravaganza, Dolly and the Golden Tassle. Also ahead, Malaysian pop-up food, Masakan in the kitchen. We're cooking beef noodles for lunch. But up next, a new book is taking a look at prescriptions, and not the kind that come in pills, how social prescriptions are helping people's health around the world and could maybe help yours too, right after the break. Welcome back. At one time or another, I'm sure most of us have been given a prescription from a doctor. But what if your next one wasn't for a pill or drug, but was instead a social prescription? That topic is explored in this new book by Julia Hotz, The Connection Cure, The Prescriptive Power of Movement, Nature, Art, Service, and Belonging. And Julia joins me now to explain. First of all, congrats on the book.
Thanks, Kelly. It's so great to be here.
So great to have you. So I have never heard of social prescribing before having you on the show. So what are the 5 main categories?
Sure. Well, first of all, a social prescription is really any non-medical resource or activity that improves your health and strengthens your connections. So it can be an art class, it could be bicycling lessons. And the idea here is we're flipping the script from focusing just on what's the matter with a person to what matters to them. And it's literally your doctor prescribing it, just like they would with pills or therapies, not in replacement of. And on that note, Kelly, I actually brought you a little model social prescription here. I know you love your nature walks. I know you obviously love people. So typically, social prescriptions involve those things. They involve movement, nature, art, service, and belonging.
I really love that you brought this. That is amazing. What is the evidence too that something like this actually does improve your health?
Right. So I'm sure many of us, when we take a walk in nature or we see a concert that's really compelling, we feel really good after. Well, it turns out there's a ton of scientific data to support that. We know that when we, for example, engage with nature or when we create some kind of art, we lower our cortisol production, which is the stress hormone, which is linked to so many kinds of health ailments.
I'm hearing about this all the time for sleep, everything.
Right. Likewise, when we volunteer or when we feel a sense of belonging with other people, we know that this literally improves our longevity. We live longer when we feel connected. And so social prescribing is really about taking these things that science suggests is good for us on its own and packaging it in the form of, say, a 10-week art class or, swimming lessons.
Yeah, and so you've mentioned some of those where people have found relief from social prescriptions. So can you share some other examples than just going for a walk and and art classes? What else do you mean by this?
Absolutely. So actually one of my favorite stories that I think really combines all these from the book is this woman named Amanda, who, Amanda is this lovely woman who'd been dealt a really tough hand all at the same time. She got divorced, her mother passed away, she lost her job. This was all in the background of the lockdown itself. So she was extremely disconnected, extremely depressed. And Amanda eventually, after, going through medication and therapy, also gets a social prescription to join this cold water sea swimming group. Now this, Kelly, is not, a day at the beach. This is cold water, 365 days a year with women like her who are kind of just learning how to swim again. Oh. And in that time, what happens to Amanda? She's enjoying the beautiful blue and green naturescapes. She's moving her body. She's connecting with the other swimmers, so much so that they're hanging out even outside of the swim course. And over time, she's able to make this a habit. She has a friend group, and she's able to lower her dose of antidepressant. She feels, to quote her, like her life became bright again.
Oh, I love that quote. And does social prescribing actually exist then in the US?
It does. So this movement really started in the UK and it spread actually to 30 countries around the world, including some parts of the US. There's an incredible organization called Social Prescribing USA that's trying to make this mainstream, but you can look and see how most doctors are increasingly, for example, prescribing parks visits and transportation to get there. Where I'm originally from in New Jersey, some insurers are even covering the cost of glass blowing workshop, for
No
example,
way.
art classes. Yeah, that's right. And it's all based on this idea, Kelly, that if we improve our health in the long term, this also reduces pressure and costs for healthcare. People are less likely to have to go to the emergency room. They're less likely to rely on their doctors. Over time can really make a difference in cost.
It makes perfect sense. And what can somebody do to find a social prescription on their own?
Right.
Can you like call and say, I'm looking for a social prescription?
It's pretty corny, but I always say, you know, ask your doctor if social prescribing is right for you. More and more of them are hearing about it. But it is true that here in the United States, it's not fully mainstream yet. So what I advise is for folks to go to www.socialprescribing.co. There is a directory there of free or donation-based activities involving movement, nature, art, service, and belonging. And to arrive at that, I encourage people to really ask questions like, if you had 2 more hours in your week, what would you spend it doing? What's something you loved to do as a kid but haven't had a chance to do since? Those kind of questions can help us all really arrive at what matters to us.
Oh, wow. I want to ask that question right now to myself. If someone's skeptical about this concept, what would you say to them?
I would say a lot of things. I want to clarify, first of all, this is not in replacement of other kinds of therapy. This is, you know, a chance to put another option on the menu.
In addition to.
I also want to say, like I thought, you know, why do I need a doctor to do this if I can just prescribe myself? But there is a big difference, Kelly, than just saying, you know, you seem a bit stressed, you should go for a walk, versus I'm going to prescribe you a 10-week Zumba class that meets on Tuesday nights after you get out of work, and I'm going to follow up with you and check in on it. It holds us accountable. We meet other people along the way who also hold us accountable. And I would tell them to just look at the evidence and show that this really does work.
Wow. Well, you've sold me on it. I'm going to sign up for a horseback riding class, I think, stat. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kelly. So great to be here.
And just a reminder, Julia will be holding an author event at Third Place Books in Lake Forest Park at 7 o'clock. And next up, Can-Can's latest show at Pike Place Market is turning up the heat this summer. The cast of Dolly and the Golden Tassle is here to perform right after this. Welcome back. This summer, Can-Can Culinary Cabaret is turning up the heat with their brand new show, Dolly and the Golden Tassle. It's a dazzling spectacle that promises high kicks and high drama, and it's showing now at their home base at Pike Place Market. So without further ado, please welcome back the cast of Can-Can.
And I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taken and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, service sound devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fat promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let you. I swear sometimes that man is hard to get you.
Can-Can's MC, Jonathan Bechtel, who is celebrating 20 years with Can-Can. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing. So tell us, please, about Dolly and the Golden Tassle, if you will.
It is an incredible show, very strange and weird, but fantastic and magical. Dolly and the Golden Tassel, she comes to save a workforce that is under the mad rule of myself as the devil, and she leads them to a spectacular, shiny lifestyle and converts me in the process.
Ooh, I mean, just the sneak peek that I saw today is getting me so excited about the show. And I hear you built a new contraption for this year's version of the show. So tell me about that and how you use it.
I did. It's my devil throne. It's a giant trident. It's that. I get to hang from it and do all sorts of weird things. It's fun. I get to build toys and play on them every day. It's a pretty magical life.
How did you get started with Can-Can?
Through a random series of events. When I was 21, I met Chris, who started Can-Can, and through 20 years, it quickly evolved from being janitor and busboy into being part owner and the MC.
What's your proudest moment, if you can pick one?
Oh, it's hard to choose.
I know, what a career.
I think my the most proudest thing about Can-Can, or the thing I enjoy the most, is getting to hang out with the audience each night. Last night on Sunday, I had a gentleman who was probably like 6'3", probably a solid 250 pounds, just like a giant man, an 11-year Army veteran, and by the end of the night, he was carrying me around in a thong, and it was a pretty spectacular evening.
That honestly sounds so fun. You play multiple characters, too, in each show, so how can you transition between characters when you're rehearsing for one show, performing for another? How does that work?
It's a little challenging, during the day, or I guess coming up soon, we have Hitchcock Hotel opening mid-September, so in the evenings, I will be the devil, and during the day, I'll be a young virgin who is trying to explore a haunted brothel. So it's a little wild. Usually, coffee and alcohol help.
Oh my God! You've been a performer for over 20 years too.
Yes.
How do you keep your, mental health in the game, and then also your physical strength?
I love training, so it helps a lot. I get to lift weights every morning, and just finding a healthy balance with life, not doing anything too extreme. I really love what I do, which I think helps the longevity of it all. I love performing, and I hope to keep doing it until people want to stop watching me on stage.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. You're fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
A pleasure. Oh, also, I have to plug, we have all ages matinee shows.
Yes.
Beginning of August, I believe August 3rd, August 10th. We have some family-friendly shows at the Can-Can, which is unusual for us, but it is a lot of fun. We did it last year with this show, and the kids adore it.
We love family-friendly events.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And don't miss Can-Can's Dolly and the Golden Tassel playing now through September 14th. Just visit their website for tickets. And coming up next, it's time for lunch, and we are going to cook some authentic Malaysian food. Yum! So stay with us.
It's a new day.
Welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into a powerful new exhibit at the Wing Luke Museum in Seattle's International District. It explores the journeys of Native Hawaiians between Hawaii and the Pacific Northwest, weaving together visual art, family stories, and history to reflect on displacement and cultural resilience. New Day's Gloria Angelin visited the Wing Luke Museum to show you a sneak peek of their latest exhibit, Displace.
In Hawaii, we speak Pidgin, and this is like this. So this place as in this place, thinking of being displaced from our homelands. This exhibition is about the history of Hawaii Island people in the Pacific Northwest. And it's not exclusive to Native Hawaiians, but we do have a lot of Native Hawaiian history in the Pacific Northwest, as well as Native Hawaiian perspectives.
This place addresses many different issues, and one of them is identity.
One of my hats is called the Lone Wauke of Wakine Kona. In Hawaii, we have a lot of proverbs called Olelo Noeau. And so this is kind of a riff on one of those proverbs where it's the lone Wauke that grows and stands alone in its battles.
Wauke means paper mulberry, and Wakine Kona means Washington State.
In that one hat, there's mulberry that was grown in Hawaii and also grown in Washington State. And the reason why it's significant is because practitioners in Hawaii, some of them say that the fabric needs to be grown in Hawaii to be Hawaiian, and other people, they're not so sure. So the same plant that was grown in two different places together to make one piece, that sort of reflects who I am as a person.
This hat is also decorated with porcelain triangles where you can see poems written in broken Hawaiian.
Because Hawaiian is like my fourth language at this point in life, I started with the first stanza of the Olelo Noeau, and then I finished by writing my own. I consider myself kind of like the lone Wauke out here, because trying to reconnect with my culture, being far away from my homeland, has actually been a struggle.
This exhibition reflects on cultural resilience and reclaims narratives that are often left out of mainstream history.
In the last 15 minutes, I learned indigenous peoples of this area, Native Americans, in the census were classified all as black. I didn't realize that with the intermarriage, if there was Hawaiian with a local, that then the Hawaiian was completely erased of their heritage, and that those children, which would have been a marriage between a Hawaiian and Native American, those kids were then forced into Indian boarding schools. And that's just really disturbing to add already to the horrific history of Indian boarding schools.
This place challenges us to rethink what it means to belong and to recognize the deep connections between land, culture, and memory.
Displays is showcasing at the Wing-Luke Museum until January 2027. And now from one culture to another, I cannot wait to try food from Masakan, a food pop-up founded by immigrants. This mother-daughter duo gives you authentic Malaysian food right here in Seattle. And here with me now is the daughter, Safira Izani. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
My gosh, it's so amazing to have you here. The food looks beautiful. So what are we making today?
So today we are going to be making beef char kway teow, and it is a stir-fried noodle dish that is very popular in Malaysia and Singapore, originates from southern China, and I'm going to be showing you just how we are going to be making beef char kway teow. You ready?
I'm so ready.
Perfect.
So the pan has to be hot, right?
Super hot pan.
Okay.
Yes, so originally we use a gas grill for the pan, but today we'll be using an electric grill. And so we want the pan to be super hot. And we want it super hot because it gives that caramelized, almost smoky flavor to the noodles.
Okay.
And so you see that the oil is smoking, we like that. And so we're gonna be adding some garlic.
Yum.
So the garlic in the beef char kway teow gives it some of that nice smoky flavor, and we're going to be browning that garlic.
And so you said you usually use a gas stove, right? So is this going to taste different or a little slightly?
It's going to taste slightly different, but since most homes here have that electric grill, I would say it's something that I love making for guests, and it is a little bit different when you're doing it on a fire or a gas grill. You do get more of that smoky flavor. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding the beef.
Whoa, yes.
Careful.
It's a party
back.
in here.
Yes. So we're adding the beef right over here.
This is fast. Everything's cooking really fast.
Yes. So that's a really nice thing about beef char kway teow. It's a super fast dish. You normally find it in a lot of the street stalls and hawker stalls of Malaysia and Singapore.
Okay, and you put some egg, is that what you did?
Yes, so
okay.
I put some eggs and a little bit of chili sauce of your choice. And so we're gonna get that to sort of heat up a little bit, and we're gonna be adding the noodles. So the noodles that we are putting in, it's a special kind of noodles, kway teow noodles. And so kway teow is a thick, flat, chewy rice noodles.
Yum.
And it just adds like this really nice chew to it. And so I actually think we're ready to pour that in.
Can you find these noodles like around town here in Seattle to make this at home? You can, okay.
Yes. So you could definitely find it in the fresh noodles section of any Asian grocery store.
Fabulous.
Yes, so I'm actually gonna have your
You're gonna put me to work, okay.
I am.
So this is a technique to kind of mix everything together, right, in this dish?
Yes, so here, let me get that fire up for you. So what we're gonna do is when we're stir frying these kway teow noodles, we're gonna be taking 2 spatulas, going in from the side, and then we're gonna be lifting it up and letting it drop. So what that does is that it incorporates all of those different ingredients. And so I'm gonna have your hand.
I'm going in.
Both hands.
I'm going in. And while I'm doing this, tell me about Masakan for someone that hasn't tried y'all.
Yeah, so Masakan is a business that was started by me and my mom. It's a family business, started back in 2020. And so we've been doing lots of different pop-ups. Now we've been doing farmers markets, a lot of catering, and also we've been able to sell food at Seahawks games in the past year.
All that food looks absolutely stunning. How am I doing here too? Am I letting you down, or am I doing?
No, you are incorporating.
I'm incorporating the flavors.
Yes.
I'm feeling like I'm getting an arm workout too with all these noodles today.
It is such a workout.
My mouth is watering. What is next?
Oh, just wait. We're gonna be pouring in the sauce over here.
What's in that sauce?
So the sauce is a mix of soy sauces, light and dark soy sauce. So light and dark soy sauce, you can also get them at the Asian grocery stores. And so the light sauce adds that saltiness, the dark soy sauce adds like a smokiness, also some caramelization to that. And so we're gonna just keep mixing it up.
Mixing it up.
Perfect.
The smells in here right now.
Thank you.
So amazing.
Yes.
And how do you top this and finish? What did you bring?
Yes, so we're just gonna be mixing it up a little bit more, and then right when it's fully mixed, we're gonna throw in some garnishes right over here. I have it right at the front. So some of the very traditional garnishes here is Chinese chives. It is very popular ingredient to have in kway and we also have some bean sprouts. And then my family likes to add in some red Fresno chilies just for some extra spice.
I like the spice too.
Yes.
And you brought in some other beautiful dishes. What do you have to my left here?
Yes, so to the left here, so we have right over here at the very end, it's a stuffed flatbread. It's called martabak. It is stuffed with beef, onions, and eggs. And then you have it with some nice tangy pickled onions. Right at the front, we've got some curry puffs. It is almost like an empanada, almost like a samosa. It's a vegetarian filling. Curried potatoes, cilantro. And then right in the front here, we've got some chicken sauté. Chicken sauté, some of our in-house peanut sauce, and then also some pickled carrots and cucumbers.
Amazing. Okay, I'm feeling like this is mixed. I'm gonna taste this final dish over here while you're putting everything together. And then let me know too how people can find, since it's a pop-up, how can people find where your next one is?
Yes, so it's a pop-up, and so we have been going over to the Ballard Farmers Market. We started this summer, and so people can find us there. We'll be back at the Ballard Farmers Market July 20th, and then we'll be there every Sunday for the rest of the summer.
Oh my gosh.
Are you liking it?
I'm loving this. The flavors on here are so, and it's not overly spicy or anything, but you can taste the garlic, you can taste everything, and I'm kind of getting that smoky flavor. So you would just toss this up to kind of finish the dish off.
So we toss it up just to give it that nice color, add a bit of freshness to it. And so it is such a popular dish in Malaysia and Singapore. If you ever go to Malaysia, there's an island called Penang where this is just one of the most renowned spots to get char kway teow.
I can tell. This is my new favorite dish. Thank you so much. And I actually think I can make this at home. So thank you for being here. And next, after the break, how a California girl looking for summer jobs finds herself running a farm in Norway with 115 sheep, 2 cows, a horse, and a dog. Lise Greensfelder and her memoir, Accidental Shepherd, right after this. Imagine being a 20-year-old California girl arriving in Norway for a short-term job as a farmhand and discovering that you'll be caring for over 100 sheep on a remote farm all by yourself. In a new memoir, Accidental Shepherd, it's a true tale of how a young woman in the 70s turned what she thought was a summer job into a year-long test of resilience, culture shock, and unexpected transformation. Welcome, Lisa Greensfelder. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kelly. It's wonderful to be here.
So let's start at the beginning. What took you to Norway, specifically to this sheep farm?
Well, I grew up in Mill Valley, California, and graduated from high school there in 1969. And by then I was kind of a flaming liberal from a liberal family, and I wanted to do something good in the world. So I decided I wanted to be a farm advisor in developing countries and help small farmers.
Gosh.
And to that end, I took 2 years after I graduated, I'd been an exchange student for a year in Denmark, and then I went to college and I dropped out. And then I really wanted to learn about farming from the ground up. So I eventually found a Norwegian organization that found summer jobs for foreigners between the ages of 18 to 30 to live and work as a member of a Norwegian farm family, supposedly.
And you ended up having to do this all by yourself with no farming experience, right? What was that like?
Well, to backtrack, the reason it happened is as soon as I arrived in Norway, this was before there was any kind of communication possibilities, not even a phone,
email,
nothing.
yeah.
I learned that the farmer had just had a stroke and he was hospitalized. He was a single man, 60 years old, who lived up in the mountains on kind of a remote farm. And to make a long story short, 2 days later, I went up there to caretake supposedly for a month. But it turned out to be much longer than that. He didn't come home, and I was immediately put in charge of having to learn how to milk a cow, which a neighbor helped me with. A neighbor came over every morning and evening for 2 weeks, and I had to take care of 115 ewes and lambs, and a heifer, a milk cow, a draft horse, a ram.
Everything must have been so different to weather, lifestyle, community. Tell me about that.
Everything was very different. Fortunately, I spoke fluent Danish from my year in Denmark as an exchange student, so people could understand me, but they spoke a remote dialect. It took me months to really be able to understand them.
Do you have a most memorable moment too, would you say, from being there? I mean, I feel like the first day would be the most memorable for me. Like, what am I doing?
Well, almost every day that entire year was memorable, but the one thing that I think was maybe most memorable was this heifer kept breaking through fences, and I had to keep going, finding her, bringing her back, dragging her back to her pasture, and there's the pasture right there.
Oh my, it's stunning.
And then repair the fence, and so I wrapped a chain around my arm one time when I was really mad at her and tried dragging her, but instead she ended up dragging me.
Did you have a bad injury from that?
I thought I was going to die because I could not disentangle myself from that chain. And so, and then she veered to the right into this copse of this forest, really dense trees. And I just, my life literally flashed before my eyes. And somehow, I don't even know how, I disentangled and I was thrown to the ground and just lay there crying hysterically.
Oh my gosh.
That was memorable.
What did you discover too then about yourself in this first year? Resilience, I imagine.
I did the work that was there. I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with the neighbors. They came to help me. They wanted this farm to survive. I was told over and over if I were not there, the animals would be slaughtered. I came to love the animals. I mean, my sheep, they became my sheep. The horse, and the beautiful horse, and the beautiful dog. They were my best friends. And to think about resiliency, I just did it because I wanted to do it and I had to do it.
Right. And you've proven that you can do hard things clearly. Do you think we sometimes forget that or fail to learn that in life, would you say?
I think we can only learn resiliency if we're challenged. And I think we can only learn it through being challenged. And I don't know that people get this many challenges. So I think everybody should go out and look for a challenge and learn resiliency.
I like it. And where can people get this book too? It's so interesting and I just love your memoir.
It's widely available in stock at a lot of bookstores, especially here in Seattle. Elliott Bay Book Company, for example, also Amazon, bookshop.org. You can just order it any place. It's out there on the shelves, a lot of places.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. And Lisa will be at Elliott Bay Book Company in Seattle tonight, Wednesday, July 2nd at 7 o'clock. So check that out. And when we come back, Master Gardener Ciscoe Morris is back to share his love for hardy fuchsia, all the tips on where to plant and how to care for them right after this. So don't go away.
This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by Dram.
It's a new day.
Welcome back. If you're looking for an attractive, easy-to-go shrub to plant and all that what brings the hummingbirds to the yard, look no further than the hardy fuchsia. Obviously, I got that information from a master gardener. This one, in fact, right next to me. Hello, good morning, Ciscoe.
Oh la la, good morning.
You're looking fabulous. You just got a haircut. I'm really digging it.
I got too close to the chainsaw.
No, stop. Impossible, impossible. What are we talking about today?
These are hardy fuchsias. So they're different than the fuchsias, you know, that we
The hanging
baskets. Those are really popular. They're wonderful. But these you could plant in your garden or in a pot and they come back every year, year after year.
Really? Okay, well, where do
yeah.
they like to be planted?
Well, you know, now hanging baskets you got to put in the shade. These like full sun.
Really?
Yeah, and so if they're in a nice sunny location, they just bloom their little hearts off. They never stop blooming once they start all summer long.
The colors are fantastic. Can they survive in the cold at all, or?
Yeah, they really can, but there is one trick.
Okay, what's the trick?
So let's say you come home with this absolutely beautiful Debron smoky blue, you know, this is one of my favorites.
Whoa,
I love
the
this
name
thing.
alone.
And you would plant that. Normally, you never plant a plant any deeper than it comes out of that nursery pot.
Okay.
This is an exception. You could plant these like 2 to 4 inches deeper. And then, even if the top freezes right to the ground, because most of these are hybrids that come from South America.
Oh, I know. What all types did you bring today?
Oh boy, there's so many
There
kinds.
are so many.
Plant it deeper, that's my main thing, because then if it freezes to the ground, it'll come up from the roots. So this is Debron Smoky Blue. Here's kind of a cool one.
Yeah.
Look at the color of that. Now,
I know.
One of the reasons I wanted to do this today, the nurseries have such a great selection. They'll have 20 varieties.
What?
Yep. This is called Groens Can Glory because it's from the Groens Can nursery. It's a Dutch nursery, and they figured out how to do this hybrid. Look at how the petals.
I know, it's like a little like ombre like coloring almost, and bright, like there's so many different options.
Oh, they're so beautiful. This is my all-time favorite, I think.
Really?
Mrs. Popple.
Oh.
Named after an English woman that some guy had a crush on, and he made this variety. Look at now this is what they look like down in South America, except for this one's Orium means more golden leaves. Mary and I were hiking down in Chile, and we're hiking between 2 giant hedges of these that just grew naturally along the trail. They're about 12 feet tall. There must have been 12 billion hummingbirds going to the flowers.
That's what I was going to ask. So hummingbirds love these.
Yeah, and hummingbirds, you know, they live down in South America and Central America, so they're so crazy.
They're coming to the yard.
Oh, this is one you got to get.
The leaves on this one too are so cool.
So this is Little Genie.
Little Genie.
Yeah, and Genii, and it's Orium, which means golden.
Gosh.
And this is a tough little guy. It doesn't matter how cold it gets.
Do you need fertilizer too? Do they like fertilizer?
They love fertilizer. I give them alfalfa meal in April, and then I follow up. Every once in a while, I give them some of this. This is Dram. It's organic, soluble fertilizer. Ooh, man, they love this stuff. I'll tell you.
And you're going to show me how to prune too, as you always do. How do we do that?
Now, here's the thing. If it looks like it won't have flowers on it, but if it's standing up and looks like this in the spring, I wouldn't prune this at all.
Oh.
But you could do it.
No. Okay, where?
I'm not
where?
looking.
No,
I'm not
you
looking
have
here.
to. You have to tell me where.
You could prune it right there.
Here?
Yep.
Okay.
And, no, farther down.
Farther
you
down?
Cut right above the leaves. Yep.
Right above the leaf.
Yep. So that's what you do in the spring. You cut it back down to the lowest leaves. If it dies back, because it'll look like it's dead. And then you'll see new leaves coming up. You cut down to those and up it comes again. But if it doesn't die back at all, then you don't have to cut it back, and it'll start flowering sooner.
Oh, beautiful.
But these are still blooming after Thanksgiving, and the hummingbirds all summer just...
I'm coming to the yard to look at these too. Thank you so much, Ciscoe. We so appreciate it. And as our favorite master gardener has mentioned before, this kind of gardening, we have some products for you to use. It makes a big difference in your yard, both for care and convenience. Dram is a company that makes products popular with gardeners, including Ciscoe. 2 new products Ciscoe uses is in his own yard, this post-mount impulse sprinkler that lets you attach the sprinkler to existing fence posts. Super versatile, so you can really cover an area. And then another new product Dram and Ciscoe is talking about, the high flow twin shutoff. This lets you run one hose to one side of the yard and the other hose to another part of the yard. Or if you needed water to the front and the back of the house, Dram also has you covered. You can of course find all of these products at dram.com. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. You can check our website for more of our content, and as always, send us an email to share your thoughts. Don't forget to enjoy your new day, and we'll see you next time.
Some segments of New Day Northwest are paid for by these fine sponsors: